I remember watching this film. It was like this was honestly the second Star Wars movie I watched. Or the first one being Phantom Menace, as I explained in my previous video that introduced me to Star Wars. But at the time, I didn't know it was the original Star Wars. Like I thought, oh my god, another Star Wars movie! Oh, I gotta see this, and very soon. Like I was still a kid, and I thought this was literally the second Star Wars movie. So yeah, but then I found out a few years later it would be the original Star Wars. I saw it and I was like, I just felt very dumb back then, but like, I was a kid, cut me some slack. So, anyways, like, this movie, it was budgeted under $11 million and it grossed close to $1 billion. It was just $250 million away. I, I like considering how big the movie was, you would have thought this would have had a much bigger budget. And okay, but let me okay, like I love the story, I love the plot, I love the characters, I loved all of this. But I mainly might be focusing on the re-releases they made, the changes, and I'm going to be honest, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but it never bothered me. No, seriously, this never bothered me because I was born in the CGI era and I watched Phantom Menace and I was more in tune with digital effects than I was with practical effects. I'm like, I still praise them and I do get the concept of overused CGI, but it just never bothered me. But like I did get why people were angry with the special edition changes. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And George Lucas tried to fix what wasn't broken because according to him, like at the time, it was only his 20% of his vision, and his vision apparently involved CGI dinosaurs, Han shooting second. Okay, let me firstly say this: Han shot first, Greedo shot first. Like I honestly didn't care. Like I honestly don't care about that conflict. Whole Han shot first, no Greedo shot first debate. Like, okay, I get that people were angry. I get that people don't like the changes, and I understand that. And I can understand why showing Jabba the way they did in the CGI form, especially if you looked at 1997's version, which oh my god, that was so ugly CGI. but but like yeah, the movie, the special edition changes has never bothered me. Though I did understand why people kind of would get annoyed. Like I kind of sometimes got annoyed with some scenes showing CGI only stuff, and I was like, but that wasn't in the original. And also, why are you showing CGI in my face? Like, can we get back to the movie? Like especially when these stormtroopers are talking and and when Obi-Wan pulls that mind trick, they show the stormtroopers and there's the CGI droid behind them, and I was like, and the point of that showing was nothing. Oh, like okay, I get it. You want to showcase the Empire having more control over Tatooine, especially considering where Vader came from later on, and especially like considering all things, how Vader has a grip on Tatooine. And okay, you want to add a spaceport. Like okay, you can do that. You can add a spaceport. You can add all these different environment areas that couldn't be replicated in the 1970s. But like seriously, uh, why shove the CGI in your face when you should be focusing on the characters? Like and I'm pretty sure a lot of people tend to forget this, but it was George Lucas who directed and written the first Star Wars movie. And some people might say, wait, he did what? Wait, he did all that? You mean to tell me he directed and written the Star Wars movie, the original Star Wars, Episode 4? And I think that some people tend to forget that, considering what he did on the prequels. I think he had a much different system back then, and then when technology came around, it was that sense of complacency. Since, well, considering George Lucas had to, I don't know, but like, Yeah, this was the second Star Wars movie I saw. I loved it. Like, yeah, they did it. I was like, oh my god, this movie's so awesome. Like, I never wanted it to stop, but it all things come to an end eventually. And I'm really glad that this movie was so great as it was. Um, and also, the person who played Obi Wan, let's see, Alec Guinness. I thought Ewan McGregor was actually a awesome choice. He kind of looked like the old Obi Wan a bit, if you really look at it. At the photos of him in Episode 3, he kind of looks like Alec Guinness of that time. So yeah. Um, So, like Lucas, this was like a big underdog story. Like a lot of people were saying at the time, dude, this not movie's not going to work. What you're doing is not going to work. Everything you're doing is not going to work. And George Lucas says, "No, I know what I'm doing. I know what I have. I have a vision for this." And he went ahead and proved them wrong. And I think that's where people started to hate George Lucas a bit now, because back then he was the underdog and then he became the system, where it was just the system was now George Lucas instead of the underdog that we originally saw. Like, I think that's where some of the hatred comes from. Like, yeah, he was the underdog. He was pretty much the underdog. This movie was seen as not going to work, and even it had production problems. Whereas in the prequels, everything just kind of operated like a conveyor belt. There was no problem whatsoever. But but like this movie, everything about it was just so great. Yeah, I mean, like I could tolerate the special edition changes to a most part. I mean, like except when they shove CGI in your face or just put pointless stuff in the background that really makes no sense. Like if you want to add a spaceport, okay, that's fine. Just add a few exterior shots, some CGI, and okay, they're all done. All those changes are done. So like, and also the lighting. Like, if you were to watch the original uncut Star Wars back today, you would say this film's a little bit dated, considering all that pesky line. Considering the lighting's not in is in two different places. With the CGI, you could get rid of that pesky line thing, and then they would feel more natural. So if George Lucas had done that, I don't think no one would have complained about the special edition changes if they just like got rid of the lighting and whatnot and added a few exterior shots to give a more grander scope. But considering how George Lucas changed everything, I can understand why people were hating on it. And also the concept how Han shot first, Greedo shot first, like it never bothered me, like I just said. But I like how George Lucas was trying to say that, like, why would Leia want to be born to a killer? And I'm saying, wait. Isn't he a smuggler? And isn't he technically killing stormtroopers who are just recruitment officers, not clone troopers, as they explained in the prequels and in later films? God, that was still stupid. Still, oh my god, that reason was so stupid in Star Wars Rebels. I'm not letting that part go. But like, but isn't this thing called a character arc where Han starts to better himself? Like he's no longer some cold-blooded killer who would shoot Guido in the crotch area and fry him, but like when he starts to learn and regret his actions, like okay, and plus someone could also make the argument Greedo threatened him, therefore he had a right to defend himself, even if he didn't shot first. So really, this whole concept that George Lucas was trying to say doesn't really make any sense. It really doesn't. Uh, so really, it makes no sense about the whole who shot first concept. So, anyways, the galaxy is in a state of civil war. The rebels have the plans to the Death Star. You know this plot already. And then you get the best iconic scene at the beginning of the movie where you get to know everything you need to know right at the beginning. The small group of rebels fighting the tyrannical empire. And if I was to think that now, I would say the rebel ship was George Lucas, since everyone was telling him, you can't do this, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do well on this movie's not going to work. And the Empire is the system of Hollywood and crushing down all who oppose it. And Like that was, I'm pretty sure that was the symbolism that George Lucas was trying to make, the allegory. But that was just me thinking that. And then you make Luke Skywalker, who's this whiny brat at the beginning, pick up some power converters, and I'm just saying, okay, now that explains so much where he get. Yeah, he truly is his father's son, considering what we learned later on. And considering how Anakin acted in episode 2, now that kind of makes a little bit sense. He takes after his father a bit. But I said, this is a character arc. He's going to be whiny and incompetent at times, and then he's going to develop into a great warrior and a fighter, as we've seen in Return of the Jedi and in Empire. But like, the before episode 3 came out, when I saw this movie, I thought episode 4 was the darkest of the Star Wars movies until episode 3 came out, since you saw burnt skeleton remains of Luke's adopted parents, and I'm just thinking, ugh, that was, ugh, uh, um, uh, wow, yeah, his aunt and uncle are dead, and they were burnt alive. That's dark, very, very dark. And Luke looks at it, and he turns his head and then looks back on it like he's going to let this all sink in, the reality of the situation. And then you meet Han Solo and the greatest ship in Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon, and you go on this adventure. Alderaan's destroyed, and, well, the whole "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi" message is playing at the beginning. R2D2, C3PO, and their banter back and forth. Eh, and the whole, there was actually one special edition change everyone can agree with when they added a new scene in the episode 4 was Lars. It was one of George Luke. It was one of Luke's friends showing up during the Battle of Yavin, and he gets killed in the battle. So everyone kept agreeing, yeah, that's actually one special edition change that Lucas actually made a right call for. If they had just added that and the exterior shots instead of overused CGI stuff, then no one would have complained. So, yeah, that is honestly the best change they made, adding a new scene. But and Obi-Wan is killed, and I always question, wait, when he's killed, why did he vanish? Like, even then, I was still confused. Even now, I'm sometimes a little confused. Like, I know he became one with the Force, but from they don't do that in the other Star Wars movies. Vader didn't disappear when he was killed. None of them died none of them disappeared when they were killed except for Yoda. And even then, I was still like, wait. So Qui-Gon Jinn dies. He doesn't disappear. Thousands of Jedi's are killed in battle. He doesn't disappear. Um, but Yoda and Obi-Wan die, and they disappear. Vader dies. He doesn't disappear. So, like, what? My mind just collapsed. Like, even now, it's kind of confusing to me. Like, wait, so some Jedi's can disappear when they're killed, and some can't? Is okay? Why? And then you get the great scene of, that's no moon. It's a space station. And, like, that's still, like, oh, damn. Like, they built a giant space station the size of a moon? Like, that's still a great scene. And, oh, man. And, like, I get it. Like, George Lucas at the time had so many problems, and there was so much doubt going into this movie, heading into it, that George Lucas maybe thought at times if Star Wars wasn't a success, they might not do another one, so they wanted to give a beginning, a middle, and end, but they wanted to, except for Vader surviving, like someone could also, had the movie failed, George Lucas could just bluntly just say, oh, he was killed by a meteor. But like, I did learn that an expanding universe novel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, I think it was called, they actually were saying that actually was the original script for a sequel to Star Wars had the first one been a failure and we couldn't make Empire Strikes Back. That was actually what was going to happen had the movie bombed at the box office or did not make as much money as they hoped. But we all know how that turned out. Oh, yes, we all know how that turned out. And then the big epic battle with the Death Star happens. The rebels are fighting. All hope seems lost. And then Millennium Falcon Han Solo comes in and says, "You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home." And like, yeah, they did it. And you just want to play some awesome song in the background, and just cheer, and like, yeah, they did it. Yeah, it's so awesome. And oh my god, this movie was just so great. Okay, I can get the like. I say I like the prequels, but even I know that the original trilogy was better than the prequels. But even then, I still say the prequels hold a special place in my heart, and I can tolerate them. But this was an awesome movie, and it would surprise me if it would surprise me if no one saw this movie, if someone didn't see this movie. And okay, we also got to talk about Chewbacca and I have to be honest, like Chewbacca. Okay, how they played him in this one, it kind of feels a little minor. Like if you were to cut him out of the movie, it really wouldn't change anything. I gotta be honest, like I felt Chewbacca's role, like if you cut him out of the movie, that wouldn't really change anything. But considering how Chewbacca's later used, I think they realized that. So yeah, so yeah, like he was still a likable character, and everyone loves Chewbacca. So do I. But like even then, like someone could make the argument, you could just cut Chewbacca out, and then just nothing would have changed. It would just been one less cast member. But yeah, and Leia and Han's banter, it was just so funny, considering they would just argue back and forth, and then episode 5 happened, and we all know how that happens. And, there was just one scene in this movie that I kind of thought was super corny. Was the part where Luke and Leia are basically doing a jungle vine thing all across the Death Star, and even then I was thinking like, oh my god, that's so corny. But it's Star Wars, I'll give it a pass. Especially the Wilhelm scream. Oh! Ah! Like that was just so funny. The Wilhelm scream is just so funny, and I was glad they put that in the movie. Like I don't think, like, it's such a staple of Star Wars now. I don't think you can imagine someone falling to their death without that scream. Well, except for episode 5 and one scene, but I'll get to that when I get to that next week. But yeah, this movie was great. Everything about it was great. The special edition changes. I can get why people were angry and still are. I can get the whole Han Solo Greedo shooting issue, the CGI usage, and all that. But honestly, it just never bothered me because, well, like I said in the video. Well, everyone, this was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.